I don't have.
I'm sorry?
Did you want to do a landfill report this week? No, for the last time we always do the committee reports.
Hazards and all kinds of stuff, so look at that, and then as many residents as we can distribute to, the better too.
Because I was thinking the same
Do you want to be on
thing.
camera today?
No,
No.
back it up, back it up.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, but I'm
Gotta
talking
give out
about the
money.
last one we had, it
Yeah.
was,
Such a weird
Night.
placement of these cameras.
I know. I was wondering.
I don't have it. Well,
Well, you're at.
Morning, how are you?
I don't see it.
I keep
sliding it down.
Yeah.
Like yesterday.
so we gotta wait.
Well, the-
The razor gets got tripped off.
Yeah, that's right, because either way it was.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Here you go.
We will call to order, roll call, we are all here. It's stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve it.
We have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have support?
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 Yes, opposed, no. Agenda has been approved. Wait a minute, do we need to add a approval for that special?
Under your minutes, I don't,
Okay,
to be honest with you, you just put approval of minutes and you'd be fine, and
Okay.
whatever's there is there, but.
all right, so the approval of the minutes. Let's do the BOC meeting of May 28, 2026. And then we'll have the closed session ones, so
I forgot about that one, sorry. Make a motion to approve minutes from May 28th.
Second.
yeah, motion and second. All in support, say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed? Yes, the closed session for May 28th, I'll make the motion to accept the May 28th minutes.
I'll support.
Motion and support, any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? No? Those have been approved as well. Claims and account.
Claims and account for May 15th, 2026 through May 28th, 2026. Claims in the amount of 155,000 or 52,000, $152,062.07. EFTs, $208,792.53. Desk checks in the amount of $89,989.29 for a total of $450,843.89. I make a motion.
Michelle? Wait. Can you change the dates on that?
It's supposed to be from the dates May 29th, 2026 through June 11th, 2026. I know you're only reading what was there.
May 29th.
Yeah.
May 29th through June 11th. Okay, now you can make a motion.
Motion to accept claims and accounts for May 29th, 2026 to June 11th of 2026.
I'll support. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
DeBrant,
Yes.
Hardee's,
Yes.
Peltier,
Yes.
Hamlin,
yes.
Madison.
Yes.
Claims and accounts have been passed. Limited public comment. We have a 3-minute public comment period. Elected and employees need to ask to be on the agenda. So it's just open to the public. No personal attacks, any public.
Well, I'm not an elected employee. I'm an elected court official, so I'm going to give my report today because I didn't know I'd be available today to speak to you. It's nothing urgent. I just wanted to update you on the courts because I usually have court on Thursdays. So I have some time, so I thought I'd jump in and let you know. I'm Judge Laura Green. So I just wanted to let you know that the court security group that meets quarterly did meet yesterday. There were a few concerns that were brought to my attention, and I'll pass them on to the controller, but the meeting went well. Also, the subcommittee plans to meet with the controller to address the building and court office reorganization plans. Hopefully within the next 30 days, I need to get with April to schedule a time that works. Otherwise, things are going well with the courts. We had Kristen Cheedy and Annette Porter in the district court work diligently to renew the Veterans Treatment Court grant, which was renewed, and we actually were also audited this year, last quarter, and that went very well as too. They had a few recommendations, but overall, that court process is going quite well. I think there might be some child care fund adjustments needed to the budget, but I don't know the details of that. And finally, the election committee met yesterday, and we reviewed the proposed August ballot. So everything is on track. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any public comment?
Good morning, Mike Sukant, Albert Township Supervisor. First of all, I want to welcome our new county commissioner, and you are definitely invited to our board meetings. They're the third Tuesday at 7 p.m., so welcome you there. You can speak or you can just wave at everybody, just so everybody knows who our county commissioner are. I appreciate that. I also would like to give kudos to Sarah Melching and to the board for hiring her. It's been a blessing having a emergency manager, and she keeps everyone in the county. Let me phrase that. I don't know about everybody in the county, but I know that Alberta Township has definitely had a lot of contact with her and appreciate the updates on that. Alberta Township is, to say that it's busy would be an understatement. We've obviously had a good brunt of the ice storm of 2025 and the snowstorm of 2026. And we are in the process of cleaning up the lake. And so we have a cleanup day scheduled, free cleanup day for Albert Township residents only. They will be checking for identification to make sure, because it is free, the township's paying for it. And that is on Saturday, June 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Okay. We've got people lined up. If someone has items in their yard that they can't move, there are people that would be available to take those items to the dump. There is a couple contractors that will tow junk vehicles. We are trying to get back to the days when everyone was proud to be from Albert Township. So just to let you know, that's what we're working on.
And is that at the transfer site?
Transfer site, yep. Any questions for me?
Actually, I do, because
Yes.
we were actually talking about material management, you know, the recycling effort that is on our lap at the moment. And it came up about Albert Township, where your transfer station is. Would there ever be any consideration, and this is just for you to think, you don't have to answer, any consideration of using anything that you have there for a recycling spot if bins were placed in that transfer? Just something to think about.
To be honest, it hasn't been discussed, but it doesn't, I mean, it's not something that's immediately on the radar screen, but it would be something that we would be looking at doing. We're definitely looking at the township assets. We are having all of our parks surveyed so everybody knows where our boundaries are. We have approved that Buttles Park, the entire 40 acres, by the end of this year will be fenced and gated. For those of you that may have driven by Buttles, we had trouble, I should say had troubles. The four-wheelers seem to think that they can run through the ditch, and they can't. So we had put obstacles in the ditch, and actually, as much as hideous as they looked, they did serve their purpose. Right now, we're in the process of cleaning that ditch, rototilling it, and planting grass, and we are going to mow that from the road all the way back to where the woods start. So that's going to beautify that. Lions Park has been surveyed, so we know where the boundaries are for future improvements to that. Bingham Park is being, where the ball diamond is being done. We have the master plan and a recreation master plan that had been adopted this past year, and we are moving forward on making those come to fruition. So, there's also they're starting up a adult softball league this year. So, anything else? Yes,
I
sir.
went by Puddles this morning
Mhm.
and it looks much better.
Much better.
That was nasty looking along there.
It was.
Yes.
But the funny thing is, it has served this purpose because they got the people out on the shoulder instead of running through that
Running
ditch.
through there. Now, if you could just continue that, it'd be all right.
We will.
And the beach improvement looks very nice down there now.
Thank you. We're working hard. All right.
Thank
Thank you very much. Do you want this back? You want this to circulate? I have thousands. of
I
those.
figured you do. Public comment? Going on to the special presentations, and there are none. Department head reports. The judge already gave hers. Committee reports.
We did not.
You didn't have
Because of the
any?
way the month went last week,
Got it.
it screwed up. the week.
All right.
So I'm sorry, I did not hear what
They
was
did
said.
not, they did not have any committee reports. The way
Okay.
the calendar fell. They gave their reports last meeting.
Okay,
Michelle?
same, no reports, same.
Lloyd?
I have two.
What about it? Yes.
First one was Thunder Bay, Thursday, May 28, 2 p.m. And we got a building update, which it looks like that projection of finishing the new roof is going to actually happen at the end of this month. And so far, everything that they have looked at and had the architects or the engineers look at, that this new roof is being put on correctly, and we should not revert back to the many leaks that we had from the previous. 2 new minivans are on order. Business is growing, and we have some short hops that people keep calling in and asking for them, and it's just too much for a medium or a large size vehicle. So we're gonna revert down to pick up 2 new minivans and begin that service. Our employees have gotten a raise. They used to start at $15 an hour. They're now going to start at 17. And retirement, we have one individual who's retiring with 30 years. Quite an eventful career, and they're going to have a potluck for the whole Thunder Bay Transportation family, and wish him well. That's Thunder Bay. Now on
With Thunder Bay, especially if they're gonna get minivans.
Yeah.
There was a conversation about people that maybe need services after 5 o'clock. Is that something that with minivans? that they could
it's come
provide?
up, and Ms. Fox is going to do a study. Actually, Christina, her assistant, is going to look into it, do a study on it, and this next meeting, they're going to come up with a resolution. So the NEMSCA board meeting was on June 5th. It was held here in, not here, Alpena. And after the presentation we had from NEMSCA, which I gave them a hearty, well done. I'll touch on some of the things that Francis presented to us. The school success program, we identified one young lady, Christine. She came out #1 in the class. She's discovered that there's multiple ways to connect with parents. The advice for showing up, which a lot of these individuals, you can show up if you want, you don't have to. But when you show up, you get better grades, you get your accountability is a lot better, and they learn that in the job arena, showing up timely and properly is a big thing. And housing for young adults was touched on. It's been a real problem for young adults because young adults are not established in the community as well as older adults. So we've got an education program that they go through to learn the do's and the don'ts. That's progressing very well. Along with financial empowerment, that is something that, especially the young folks, again, they don't know how to budget money. They don't know how to handle the money. There's a program that's going to show them all of that. That's taken off, and looks like it's going to work out really well. Our water program, 19 individuals assisted, which includes 10 households for $4,618. And that was the water portion of it. The plumbing repair portion of it, 64 individuals were assisted with 26 households for a total of $23,209. That's going very well. And that actually goes hand in hand with our weatherization. Our weatherization is just doing a phenomenal job, and there is such a long waiting list. Just like Francis said here, we have a waiting list that is months long. Currently, we have 96 jobs out to our contractors right now. 96. 97 approved homes waiting for an inspection, and 196 potential clients waiting on the applications. So this thing it's badly needed, and we are looking to hire more workers so we can put more teams together to go out and do this work and get these people the help that they need. That's all I have.
Okay, and I had FPS. And yesterday, 4 of us were able to attend the MAC midterm training in Kirtland. That was very informative. It just talks about being a commissioner and multiple things, but it also gave us several legislative updates, including on the housing bills and the sewage bills and all of these things. Nothing's really changed from when we've talked to some of them recently with the last DHD4 report that I gave. But just things to be looking on the horizon. There's always something. And that's all I had. Controller's report.
The county credit cards, they still remain housed at the treasurer's office, and there's been no update as when provided regarding the transfer of the cards administration or the issuance of additional cards. As the conference attendances and training opportunities and travel increase during the spring and the summer months, we're continuing to experience challenges with the credit card limits. We currently had a problem with an overextending on the credit cards. We had people down in training, they didn't have a card with them, they messed it up. We were able to use a prepaid card over the phone in our office to help them get into their rooms, but they'll still haven't come up to us. And the policies were placed back in October 2025 for those to get taken care of. So we had a sign out process. And that just hasn't been taken care of yet. And we were supposed to get 4 cards and we haven't gotten that done yet either. So I'm just trying to get an update on that by.
So are you waiting then for the treasurer to bring you the card then?
Yeah, we need the we had an update a while ago that Lindsay was going to be getting updated, supposed to be adding cards, and then we need to get them moved up to our office so we can start the sign out process, but we haven't heard anything if those cards got ever added. So we just need to get some updates on that stuff so we don't have this problem happening. But I'm also suggesting that if with adding the 4 cards, we also add to the agenda for the next meeting, the possibility of increasing that limit to 10,000 instead of 5,000 with 4 cards, just because in June, when you have 5 or 6 people going to trainings and they're all have hotel stays, that $5,000 limit hits real quick. So it might not hurt us to try going up with that limit just so that doesn't happen again. So we're not getting people down there and stranded.
And a blacksmith can get supplies because it's denied.
Okay, yeah, well, yes, I'm okay with adding that to the next agenda.
Doesn't it run counter to the maximum allowable limit?
Well, that's why we would add it if we want to increase it.
Well, not on the credit cards too, of any purchasing or using county funds that's got anything over whatever it was, $5,000 needs board approval.
2,500 it doesn't need board approval. It wouldn't be one person using $10,000. You're looking at one person using $1,000, but if you have 5 or 6 people using that card, they all put a credit card request in, you're hitting that max real quickly. So you're not overextending your approval ability, but when you have 5 or 6 different departments and you're sending 2 or 3 people in that department to a training. So like district court had 3 people going to a training. They had their conference charges and their hotels. And then you had Sarah down there with 3 people going to active assailant training in 3 rooms, all in June, you're looking at well over $5,000 on the card easily in just 1 month's time. And the problem is if you book, some hotels will let us send a check and they're fine with it. And they're great. They're like, yep, send us a check. They hold the room, it's taken care of. You can go check in and you can provide them with your personal credit card. Nothing ever gets charged to your card because it's all taken care of on that check. The card is literally an incidental thing. But some hotels, they will not let you send a check. They want a credit card and they want the hold 5 months in advance. And they say nothing will be charged to that card, but it's held there. And then somebody's using it at the same time. Well, there's still something being held there. So it's not blocking other charges from occurring.
So how did the prepaid card work?
So what we were able to do over the phone is I asked Sarah how much those rooms were. Bill was able to call, find out exactly, load the prepaid card for that expense, and was able to pay over the phone with the prepaid card to get those rooms paid for her so they had them taken care of for her. Because it was like 3 days before that card was unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had to be rewarded.
I understand that. I'm just thinking that if somebody has a credit card, they can use it to purchase something for $9,000. That has nothing to do with the multiple people using it. It's just raise the limit of what possible wrongdoing could happen.
Well, that maybe could be a discussion. You're saying have 2 different sources of cards, period. So that it's not one
You have
limit
too
for
many
all
people
4.
going, you have 2 cards issued for the event where they might all be going instead of rather than raising the credit limit.
Is that something you can look into for the next agenda?
Yeah, well, so if we can't raise it, then if the cards can each have their own separate limits, that's another option. But I don't know what the credit union, right now our cards are through the credit union. So that's depending on what the credit union will allow. So we have to find that out.
The treasurer is here.
So just an update, the reason I can't wait to get the credit card out of my office, but the reason why it hasn't came up to the controller's office is because that policy hasn't been approved yet.
We have approved the policy.
It was sent to the attorney and it has not came back.
All of the policies are in the attorney's hands, even those that we have passed.
But the updated to put it to the controller's office is part of that chunk that's still at the attorney's office. So if you guys want to just push that section through, absolutely do it. I will bring it up. Secondly, I went to the credit union. I already have the credit card started. But what they do now, they've changed their policy, so there's only myself, the chief deputy, and April on the Alpena Alcona accounts. So they will only let you have a credit card for the amount of signers on the card or on the account. And they're counting, so they were hoping that they could grandfather the credit card that we have right now, like as a Montmorency County one. And then put one under my name, under Camille's name, and then under April's name, so that we could have 4, which is what we talked about in the new policy, but they won't let us. So the current credit card that we have would count as one of our names, so we can only have 2. So if the county wants to have more than 3 credit cards, you're gonna have to outsource somewhere else. Or open up another credit card if you wanna stay through the credit union. So that's just been on hold because I know that it was approved for 4, the credit union will only let me do 3. And then I was just gonna kind of bring it up when that policy was put through.
Okay, well, probably, now we know it should have been brought up sooner, probably, so if you could get a hold of the controller and work that out.
Let's add it to the agenda next meeting, Lindsay.
Yeah,
And
that,
let's reach out to Nicolay too. If we can't do out credit union, let's do Nicolay options too, to see what our options are. And see if we can do one limit or if we could do each card its own limit.
mhm, okay.
Well, that's next.
And
agenda.
Well,
that's
and-
another thing too.
And to
is-
Bob, well, excuse me, and for Bob's purpose, maybe 2 from Alcona and 2 from Nicolay or something to that extent, so that it's separated maybe.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a multi-person event, more than one card instead of
Yeah.
raising the limit like that.
Just to look at it. But again, we need to look at, because I thought when we've been passing those, we've been passing them as of now that they are completed. So we need to look at the minutes to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that we've been pretty consistent about that. Maybe we weren't.
I just have a comment and not to, I guess you're gonna all do what you're gonna do, but I think it still goes back to the factor that you have elected officials and department heads that are reliable and they're dependable, they're honest. And so to say, we're gonna have one little limit for this card and another one for this one, to me seems ludicrous. There's no reason if you need to increase your limit, increase your limit. It was more than $5,000 20 years ago. So
I
my
think,
comment.
I think $10,000 is reasonable, knowing our balance, and having 4 cards that are drawing from $10,000 is reasonable.
You still
Like,
have to get approval if you're going over the 20.
yeah, and there's a sign out process and you have to return all your receipts in. So
Right.
like you are you are responsible to have to turn in every receipt for that. So if an employee was to take a credit card to a training and they were to charge things that were not acceptable, well, you know what? That would be deducted from their payroll because that's what that is in our policy.
And that does happen. We have had that happen with some of our entities. Enough said.
Just one more comment to go along with the thing with. I don't personally use the credit card, and to me, I'm sorry, it's a hassle, and I'm not gonna sign out a card. So I'm gonna do everything I can when I have to book my conferences to make sure that I can get a check sent down to the hotel. With that being said, I still don't think that there's any reason that each department, if that's an option, should have their own credit card. We're elected officials, we have to answer to the people, and we are in charge of our budget. So I guess I'll say that.
So just something, a lesson learned for me on this last training that I went to. So emergency management has 3 trainings a year. Those are all reimbursed through our region, so which is a great thing. But instead of each individual participant going in the future, I will be booking all the rooms as a bulk. And so we'll be taking one credit card to pay for everyone's rooms. So when I check in, I check everybody in, and then, you know, they check themselves in, you know, when they show up, kind of thing. So because I have to get reimbursed, because we get reimbursement from the region, that makes it also much easier for me to be able to get those invoices showing paid in a quicker fashion, and I can manage that a little easier. So I'm not sure if other departments with multiple people going to trainings can kind of look at that as well. But yeah, it ended up working out, thank goodness, but it was kind of a little bit of a cluster, so.
Next thing on my report, the Cheryl, sent in a request for a wage adjustment for her deputy clerk, Kelly Braden. The clerk's budget currently includes one deputy clerk position at pay grade 1 and one at pay grade 2. When Lori Curran promoted to chief deputy clerk, that left the pay grade 2 position vacant. After reviewing her budget, I advised Cheryl that Kelly could be moved into pay grade 2 position at step 4 while remaining within the department's budget. So Kelly's hourly wage increased from $20.39 to $21.25 per hour, and her new employee was hired at pay grade 1, step 1 at $17.79. And you also have an updated job description for Kelly with her expanded court-related and financial responsibilities attached in the packet. So her pay was updated according to that. The Veterans Office Grant, we were approved for that starting October 1st for $54,779. That will come in.
Was that an increase?
It's $50,000 every year, and then they, depending on what allocations are left in the year before, it's divvied up among all the counties, so 4,000 is the extra. Vehicle leasing program, the county received delivery of the 5 lease patrol vehicles on April 29th. We ordered all the equipment, obviously, before that, so upfitting could be expedited. We have 1 vehicle on the road. That's been confirmed. The insurance has the information on that. 4 vehicles remain out of service pending completion of the installation work. We anticipate completion timeline for upfitting approximately 2 to 4 weeks per vehicle. We have not met that schedule quite, but we need to be, we're paying about $1,200 a month for each vehicle for the lease on these. So we just need to be vigilant on this, because the longer these ones sit, we're paying upwards of $4,800 a month for these last 4 cars. So we were going to send these out for upfitting. Would it cost us about $3,200 to have these cars updated every 2 weeks? So just making sure you guys are aware that we need to, if you want regular updates or if any questions on this.
What happened to having the vehicles delivered in a staggered timeline, so we weren't?
They said they could try to do that, but we put them in such a late bank that it wasn't a guarantee.
So with,
The original understanding is that they're gonna be, the delivery is supposed to be staggered, so you can't get time to do them without having all 5 of them dumped on them at one time.
But it still doesn't make any difference if they're sitting there. You still got a 2 to 4 week timeline per vehicle,
and we're not making.
whether
it.
they're sitting there or you wait and he gets done and one's delivered when that one's done.
So
we're
how
still
many are
having
on
issues
the road?
Yeah,
One.
one is the second one. Is that in getting upfitted right now?
I'm not positive. I have not had an update.
So because we approved, I think it was last meeting, the additional cameras or radios. Is everything that's going in these upfit news, how many things are being transferred from the old equipment because they wanted to reuse some of their older equipment into the new? Is there anything that's being reused now at this point, or is it all the new equipment that we purchased?
We have 4 new cameras. I know we're reusing a couple of the radars. I'd have to look at my list to double check.
Virtually all the radios.
The radios, we ordered, I think, 2 new ones. So it's not all brand new. We were reusing a couple different things.
Were there lights that we were using also?
No, the lights were all ordered, I believe, or in stock already.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's become a backlog to get them on. If we can take some of them and have them upfitted, if there is money in the budget to do that.
Do that, you have to take cars out of service to have the
Well,
parts
do
taken
we?
out of, like the radios, and they,
But she said some of them. So what are the ones that are the new ones going in? If there's, she said there's 2 new
every one
radios.
of them, they're not buying any new radios that I'm aware of. Every radio has to come out of an existing car to go into the new ones.
Well, lesson learned. We knew new maybe, because I thought we just updated those. Because this was the discussion at the time, how much do we want to use new versus we knew it was gonna be a cost if we end up using old equipment.
And getting them out in a timely manner.
Yeah, well,
Doing so.
Yeah, using old equipment.
Yeah.
It's gonna break out that timeline.
Imagine buying all new equipment would increase the 1,200 a month price of the county versus the 1,200 a month per car for upfitting.
Right, we still paid quite a bit for, I don't wanna give a figure because I don't quite remember, but when we did the new, plus what we added last time.
I think the radios are the only thing that we didn't order new, but everything else we ordered pretty much new.
Yeah, and what were we at? Were we
Oh,
close to
upwards of 30,000.
Oh, 30,000. So is it something that the radios, like if we sent them to be upfitted for everything that we have new, because we don't have to take a car off-roaded, that would probably make it easier for the mechanic to get that done when he only just has to do the radio?
Didn't Bernie say that he'd still have to pull everything out to put the radios in because of the way the electrical's wired? I thought
Take
there was a
out
complication
both
with
seats,
that.
the dashboard, because the heater duct runs through the console that the radio goes in. And it won't fit in there without removing that heat duct, and you have to close off that heat duct to keep it from blowing hot air on the radio, so it's a lot of work that's changing the radio. You gotta pretty much rip the car apart to change the radio properly.
Are we keeping track of the amount of time we're working on the vehicles?
None of the upfitting is tracked, and he's not putting any of the upfitting tracking.
Well, I would
in
think that would be one
enterprise.
thing we need to do so we can, for time management, we know
How
what's
long it's
being,
taking?
yeah. That'd make a difference also. Yeah, I didn't see anything on here.
I just have the list of what we ordered and the parts. So anything the working wise, you'd have to have a report from Bernie on.
I guess we probably need that report, because is there something that, you know, if the radio is taking that much time, is there something? Would it still behoove us, is it in the realm of possibility that the upfitters can do all they can do? Maybe
I would talk to Bernie first and see what he has to say about what is involved with, not every car is the same, because there's different years and different things that are being removed and changed, and he's got a timeline that he knows approximately how long it's gonna take.
Well,
And
and they
we
had.
should be talking to him about what he thinks could be
Well,
done
he
to speed it up.
estimated 2 to 4 weeks per vehicle,
Mhm.
And
and
we're
it
right
doesn't
at that,
do-
aren't we? Because it took 4 weeks for the first vehicle.
and we don't know if this next one is in. That's what I'm saying.
sure
We're
he's
already to
working
the
on it. I'm willing to
11th.
bet money he's working on it. You just
Yeah,
have to
so
ask
that's,
him.
yeah, so we
Maybe
need a
it'll go quicker
report.
than the other one, maybe it won't. Just don't know until you talk to him. So
Wow.
I'm trying to make a decision beforehand without even consulting with him.
Well,
We're
we're
just
not making
talking
a
about it
decision.
now.
We're just saying, we obviously need the report from him. That's
And,
what we're
and,
asking.
you know, if we at least have the time, you know, that he's working on it, just so that we know, then you have a timeline of how long it's taking him. So you'll have an average for each vehicle.
Well, it should be on the
Pretty
enterprise
much.
log, because that's supposed to be the log that he's inputting that time that he's spending on the vehicle.
But I think it's just the vehicles. I don't know. I think it's just the vehicles that he's working on. I don't know.
So get a report
Okay.
and see, because if it's gonna take long, maybe he knows how it can be coordinated, that we can use both services, his and an upfitters. And it's something for us to put on our radar for, you know, when we lease, the time factor for getting them on, if he's not able to, you know, if he doesn't have the time to get them done in a quick turnaround time.
Right. And the prosecuting attorney's office, recently we were talking, you guys had a motion on the last meeting about their part-time person that didn't end up panning out for them. So the prosecuting attorney is just going to utilize her current staff right now, provide additional coverage as needed. So those staff members are gonna work up to 5 additional hours per week while remaining under that 40-hour work time. It'll be savings because you won't be using that full part-time wage. No overtime costs at this time. She doesn't expect to need that right now until they can they'll go back to the drawing board, start the interview process and everything. She'll keep you updated when they can find somebody new to hire in that position. The audit update, the audit is wrapping up. Receipt of the draft audit report has been delayed. We had some specific number of journal entry corrections, cash posting errors, and bank reconciliation discrepancies we had to get fixed. Process, we got that all fixed. Now we should be good to go. The audit timeline was extended a little bit, but it won't be Christy, but Sandra will be at the next board meeting to give the report. So I'll have preliminary draft here in the next week or so to review and get back to them and make sure everything's good on that. So we'll have a.
So is this related to the treasurer's office? I see she left already. I would have asked her. Is this related to the treasurer's office has corrected these?
We had, it was bank discrepancies. There was bank balance issues that they were trying to correct and undistributed receipts. I think we got them figured out. Went through with the auditors to help them do it. There was a bunch of journal entries that had to be made. I don't know if it was from switching from the BSNA payments or what happened in there, but there were some negative bank balances that the auditors had caught when they were going through the reconciliation. So the auditors will discuss it more with you because that was on the cash receiving side of it. So.
But you say she's got it updated now?
Yep.
Okay. So where are we with that BSNA training then?
I have it scheduled with Lindsay and BSNA today. I invited Amber to it too.
It's virtual, or are they showing up?
It's virtual with the big head honchos at BSNA to go over all of our issues we're having with them. So hopefully we can get some stuff resolved today. So that being said, with the audit, after getting the entries fixed and going through everything, I told you we had some adjustments that were going to be made and we'd probably be closer to the revenues we had talked about. Our ending balances from 2024, we're at 9,507,443.78. It's estimating this year around 10,058,588.15, and those funds that those I had noted in my report there. Again, still waiting on the final draft, so if there's any extra changes that have to happen.
Well, just talking about the OPEB fund, can you identify the improvement there? 737.
That is that tracking of that money we moved from the DTRF to handle the retiree health savings, the healthcare savings plans that we put into MERS. So that retiree health funding vehicle, that's tracking that. I met with Janelle yesterday because there was one issue we were finding in the childcare fund. You all are aware that the childcare costs for housing, sending them to places is ridiculous. You were looking at bills of upwards of $10,000 for stays. It's not cheap when they have to send somebody to any kind of care. That being said, we had a couple of kids that were sent, and so we had some pretty big bills in that fund. So it ate up a big portion of that fund balance that we had there. 50% of that does come back from the state, but only 50%. So we have a couple receivables coming from the state, but not enough to cover what was in the fund balance. So if we were to do nothing right now, we'd probably have about $35,000 negative fund balance in the childcare fund. So for this year, I'm telling the auditors to transfer $35,000 from the general fund into the childcare fund to cover that negative balance. That would be your guys' allocation to the childcare fund for 2025 to cover those childcare expenses. So I'm letting you guys know that, so we don't end up with a corrective action plan or anything like that. That would be that correction for that. Janelle will come to a future board meeting if you guys like to talk about it, the future allocations and funding options that we might have to look at too, if those kinds of costs continue. Because like I said, you never know when those cases are going to come. It could be good, but then when those unexpected ones come up, they cost us a lot of money.
And I think she had spoken to us last year about that there might be other options.
Yeah. Just some quick notes. Again, MERS education session on June 22nd, 2026 at 10 a.m. for employees. NEMCOG accepted another county's bid for the drone that we discussed. I have not seen any details on ordering a new drone that we had discussed yet from the sheriff. Soil erosion ordinance, I'm still waiting for feedback from Eagle on that. The materials management planning grant amendment, I signed that side of it. That was just an extension to go to July 31st, 2027. I already talked about the meeting with BSNA today, I added that. And then just an FYI, I did meet with the union rep just to get preliminary wish list and to see what they were looking at for numbers wise for the next year's contract. So I can get some figures together for you guys to look at before we start negotiations. So I have some information on that. And then Judge Green talked about the reorganization, and I actually kind of looking at some plans myself. So I'm looking forward to meeting with her to go over some options we can possibly go through that. That is it for me.
Have anything else for the controller?
No.
No,
There was something I did, but it just.
Oh. The roof, you're gonna check in on the roof?
We've gotten a call into the people for the roof. Still no answer, so we're looking out for some different contractors. Yep.
Okay, we just hired a new maintenance man, and guess what? He has roofing experience. So we may be able to have him, because he was kind of looking at it yesterday. If you notice, we have new tiles up there now. And he was looking at
Yes,
it.
I've been looking, I didn't see it.
Yeah, and he was looking at it from inside, but he thinks he knows where the problem's coming from. So let's give him a few days to get acclimated, because he just started yesterday. I don't want to throw too much on him just yet. Want to keep him. He seems to be a very nice kid.
Oh, I think the thing that I wanted to add is just, when you talk with Lindsay, if we can see if that isn't already completed with our, that we didn't already approve that credit card.
We approved all the policies, but we also sent everything to the attorney for all review.
Right, but we're still under active policies. So I think there's a discrepancy. People aren't recognizing that we can still have active policies being reviewed, but we still have active policies in place. So just to clarify that, if you would, going forward. New business. Discussion items, unfinished business. We have a proclamation that's in our packet. Resolution 2026-09, it's a proclamation recognizing the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. At the meeting of the county, I'm just reading what the resolution is, of the County of Montmorency Board of Commissioners held in the county.
Hang on, you might want to make a motion first.
Doesn't change.
I was just going to read it to see if we wanted to make a motion.
So usually you make a motion and then read it.
I would make a motion to accept the resolution 2026-09 as presented. Do I have support?
I'll support.
I will read it. Proclamation recognizing the 250th anniversary of the United States of America at the meeting of the County of Montmorency Board of Commissioners held in the County of Montmorency building located in Atlanta, Michigan of June 11, 2026. The following resolution was made, whereas on July 4th, 1776, the signing of the Declaration of Independence established the United States of America as a free and independent nation, founded upon the principles of liberty, equality, self-government, and individual rights. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 250th anniversary or sesquicentennial of the founding of the United States of America. And whereas for 2.5 centuries, Americans have demonstrated courage, resilience, innovation, and dedication in preserving and strengthening the ideals upon which this nation was founded. And whereas the citizens of Montmorency County have proudly contributed to the strength and success of our nation through military service, public service, volunteerism, agriculture, small business, education, industry, and community involvement. And whereas the 250th anniversary provides an opportunity to reflect upon our nation's history, honor the sacrifices of those who came before us, celebrate the diversity and accomplishments of the American people, and inspire future generations to continue the work of preserving freedom and democracy. And whereas communities across the nation are encouraged to commemorate this historic milestone through civic engagement, education, patriotism, and celebration of our shared American heritage. Now therefore it be resolved that the County of Montmorency Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes and celebrates the 250th anniversary of the United States of America and encourage all residents to participate in activities and events honoring the historic occasion throughout 2026. Be it further resolved that the board expresses its gratitude to all those who have served and continue to serve our nation and community and reaffirms its commitment to the enduring principles of freedom, opportunity, and representative government upon which the United States was founded. Is there any discussion?
Make the motion with the resolution as is.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call? We already did, but that's fine. We can do a roll call, Cheryl?
Hardee's,
Yes.
Altier,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Madison,
Yes.
DeBrent.
Yes.
Resolution has passed. The emergency management policies, we had those in our packets.
So I'll just present a little bit on the special event coordination policy. So as you all know, we have a ton of events that go on throughout the county, big, medium, small. And so at what point does emergency management become involved to start coordinating for emergency action plans? So this kind of helps provide a framework for organizations throughout the county to coordinate, to look at the entire picture of an event, to see if it's reasonable to have emergency management directly involved with planning of their event for numerous different reasons. So this policy helps organizations and helps me as the emergency manager identify different thresholds. These events, the involvement of emergency management is not solely based on attendance. Although when you look through the policy, I do have it tiered out, like tier 1, fewer than 250 attendees. If an event is less than 250 attendees, that does not mean that emergency management is not involved. It means let's look at all the things that this event entails to see if it's reasonable for emergency management to get involved in a little bit more coordination. And there's a number of different things, traffic impacts, coordination of multi-agency, a number of different things that would help kind of guide this. And so what this is basically a policy that I would suggest the county adopt to help guide organizations throughout the county to kind of learn a little bit more about when to involve emergency management. Some organizations and events throughout the county have been phenomenal. And some I haven't heard from at all. And even after reaching out to them, I still have not heard back from them. So I think getting this out to organizations as here's our plan. If you have a special event, there's a form to fill out. Here's some information the emergency manager wishes you to have together in order for me to assist, such as mapping, contact information for those involved in the planning committee, some basic things for me to start kind of mapping things together to be able to assist them a little bit more.
If so, would we have some of this on the website? Just a quick little
Yes.
intro.
So I think what I would do if this passed, there's a form that goes with it. And then for internal use, there's kind of a matrix for me to kind of score each event. And that's not if they don't meet this number, that doesn't mean it doesn't get assistance from me. It just means we're going to look at it a little differently. That all that information would be under the emergency management department dropdown. So we would provide that there as well as, I would definitely get this out to township supervisors, any organizations I already have involvement with. Just because, if they're planning 6 months to a year out, there's some things they need to get together before I can really even do anything with that. So, so we would definitely have, a link for them to be able to download those documents, or it would be under the forms. I'm not sure where April would
Probably
want
be easiest
those.
to put it in emergency management, so it's quick to know where to go.
Right.
So, like our big events, how soon do they have to start? Snowdrift popped into my mind. I mean, I know we're just getting into warm weather here, but I mean.
Right.
Don't take our one.
Yeah,
word.
so-
They
how
start
many
planning for snowdrift right after it ends, so.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like, the fair does the same thing, and.
So typically, like, for Snowdrift, I mean, I've only been here a year. And I started last August, and they had just started their planning meetings in August when I came on board. So I was fortunate enough to be part of that process from the get-go last year. So, what is that, like 6 months-ish? That they started doing their planning for the upcoming. And I know, I recently, gotten a call from the Timberfest folks over in Lewiston. So, we do have emergency action guideline plans started from last year. So we have a framework, but they've reached out to me just this week. And so I'll be working with them here in a week or two. So, some events that are bigger take longer, like the Snowdrift. Timberfest obviously is less than 6 months away, but, the more time, the better for planning purposes, but, each organization is different depending on when volunteers are available to meet.
So do you send this out to like the townships and the county, or, and the chambers of commerce? And I mean, how do we get it to the people that are starting those?
I have a pretty good contact list of the events that are going on in the county. So I would send this directly to them to just say, here's a policy that the county has adopted. Please follow these procedures. Snowdrift, I worked with them a lot last year. And so just a formality for them to get a form filled out so that there is that more formal document saying that emergency management is involved. So, and it's not to say that if there's a small market on a Saturday, that an emergency couldn't happen there. Absolutely, it could. But this is for some bigger scale events that we need, multi-agency planning and that kind of thing.
What about fireworks?
Fireworks would be probably considered a larger scale event that I would work with public safety and that type of thing to kind of look at it. And it's going to be very different in each community for fireworks.
Yeah, well, Lewiston's supposed to have some fireworks.
Yep. So that would be another special event would be the fireworks or any type of parades or there's, like I said, there's multi things that could affect this. It's, are there road closures? Who would be involved? How many people involved? What, is it an outdoor event? Is it an indoor event? There's just so many different factors that contribute to an event that's why getting this form from people that want assistance is important because it helps guide me to what I'm able to do for them. So.
Past what was done to arrange the parade, like the closure of the roads and.
I haven't been here through that whole process. But typically the townships, and I'll speak, Lewiston has a form that if there's a special event that requires road closures or anything, it gets submitted to the township and approved. And then there's a request through road commission that has to happen. Then there's a letter from the sheriff that has to follow that he's in support of this particular road closure and event. So there's a whole bunch of steps, but in order to make it more streamlined and organized, having a policy to help guide that for organizations, I think is important. But I apologize. I don't have, any experience in this county with that kind of thing because I started in August. So I kind of came in on the tail end of all the summer events.
That's kind of how it works here in our townships too.
Yeah.
Same thing, you have to get a permit in the townships and it has to go to the road commission if you're closing roads and things like that.
So I don't think there's really been, you haven't had an emergency manager here to be able to invest the time to be able to have these types of policies in place. Because time was just so limited. But I'm able to kind of start developing some things, and I think it will be helpful for organizations to have some direction when they're planning events, because I think people are understanding a little bit more about what emergency management is. But it's kind of taking it to the next level of what I can truly do for their organization and their events.
And I see you have, I'm just gonna go to the volunteer application. Those are people that are gonna be helping you.
Yeah, so that's a separate, I don't know if you want to do.
We need to approve
the event thing first and then.
Okay. I'd make a motion to accept the Montmorency County Emergency Management Special Event Coordination Policy as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion passes.
The volunteer policy. So to my knowledge, there is not a volunteer policy here in the county. And there are multiple reasons why there may not be one, and there's multiple reasons why you should have one. The volunteer screening process or policy is essential for my department, emergency management, because it helps ensure the volunteers are coordinated, qualified, trustworthy, and appropriately assigned before being placed in a situation involving vulnerable populations, critical infrastructure, emergency operations, and sensitive information. So the policy outlines basically a volunteer screening process that we would use for volunteers. There are positives and there are negatives. Obviously, if the county adopts a volunteer policy, it comes with liabilities. That means you are endorsing the fact that you have volunteers under the county umbrella that come with certain legal and operational liabilities. And I understand either way, if a county adopts this or does not adopt it. But it is a great tool for the county again, and for emergency management. So we have a grasp on providing volunteers to emergency situations. We are able to utilize iChat, which is a state of Michigan tool to screen volunteers. And it's free of charge for the county to do so. I think I have included a form that the volunteers would fill out. It would be presented to my office. I would complete the iChat, and then that information then would go to human resources because it's personal and confidential information. So all volunteer records would be kept similar to what employee records would be. So they would be confidential. Certain convictions that are found under the iChat may not be eligible to volunteer for certain disasters or certain duties. So I'm not saying because someone has been convicted of something that they would not be able to volunteer. And that's for you guys to decide if you should adopt a policy like this. For instance, if someone had embezzlement charges on their record, we probably wouldn't want them helping in the EOC under the finance unit. Okay, makes sense? And I could give more examples. But I also know that I want to encourage everybody in the county to be able to volunteer because this county is very close knit and people like to help others. We like to help our neighbors and family members and those in need in this county, and it's remarkable. So there's a lot of folks out there that want to volunteer, and I don't want to hinder them not volunteering because of any convictions, but I think we need to look at where they might best be suited to be helping emergency management.
Not worried that people would just not volunteer at all if they have to go through a background check? Even if they have nothing on it?
I think we run Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think we run the risk. And it's a liability on the county if we do not do due diligence and look at who our volunteers are. If the county wishes to not do a volunteer policy and do the background screening, we can utilize the Michigan Volunteer Registry, which is again free. But again, volunteers would have to be, and they're vetted much deeper with the Michigan Volunteer Registry than what we probably do here at the county level. But it's a very formal process. And so when we pull volunteers from the Michigan Volunteer Registry, we as a county do not have to do the work for the vetting of these volunteers. It's already done. So when I call on the Michigan Volunteer Registry and say, I need 10 people in my county to help open a shelter, they can go into their database and they can call these folks or send out a notice and send them to us. So it takes it out of our hands and it puts it on the Michigan Volunteer Registries, which is also another avenue to go. But I think we need to either decide that, yes, we should, our volunteers should be screened and they should go through the Michigan Volunteer Registry, or we should do our own screening here through iChat.
Is there implications like for our insurance?
Well, Sarah had sent this to me, her draft that she had done up, and then I went in through it and I removed, because iChat doesn't require a social security number. So I removed that because that's less PII that we should be keeping on hand. So I removed that. I added the background check authorization. So they are signing off that they did that. I also added the liability waiver and volunteer acknowledgement that covers MIRMA, emergency contact information that we have. So we have something on file in case something happens to them, and then their certification part of it. Also, this is good for us to have, especially in cases of FEMA. You know, when you have this paperwork, it makes it a lot easier to get reimbursed.
Right, especially if we have people going out and doing checks. We did have that come up.
Yeah. And when we had the ice storm and there was trees down at the sheriff's department, and they said that people could like help themselves to it, the trees. But was it Myrma? Anyways, they told me that they wanted some kind of documentation that they could not sue us if something happened to them while they were on the property cutting the wood up. And so I had a form made up for that, for them to sign before they went out and cut the wood up. So just so you know that they are requiring that. So this would be great for that reasoning.
So in like an emergency, a short-term thing, and people wanted to volunteer, how quickly could this be completed? I'm thinking like the ice storm. We had people that came in right away, you know, within 24 hours to the building here and asking if they could help. So is that something that could have that quick of a turnaround?
It could. And so if we were a larger county and we had, you know, multiple people in a department, this is a function that someone would take on. So as you're calling volunteers to a shelter to come and assist, to say, please report to, we'll use the senior center here in in Atlanta as an example, even though it's not operational, but please report to the Atlanta Senior Center for your volunteer duty assignment. And we would have somebody trained in volunteer management that would be checking these people, you know, are you currently registered? Yes. And we would have like a spreadsheet. If they're not, okay, please fill out this information. And then we would have a second volunteer that knew how to get into iChat and do that, you know. So ideally you would have people trained prior to an emergency to have these functions just carry out.
Because to train people, you would want this.
Yes,
what you're saying
yes.
too.
So yes, everything comes with training, and you know, we need lots of training with EOC positions, and that's coming down the pipeline too. So.
But this is first.
I would say yes, we would need a volunteer policy first, and then we implement it.
And we start looking for the manager.
She's the manager. She's the emergency manager.
No, but I see what you're saying, though. We would need to find people to train for these specific positions, yes. And it's great that volunteers show up because everybody has skills to help some way or another, but certain people are going to have skill sets to be able to do these more in-depth type things.
Right. Well, I'll make the motion that we accept the volunteer vetting background check policy as presented by our emergency manager.
I'll support. Any further discussion?
I personally don't know if it would be necessary for every volunteer, maybe someone that are in more sensitive positions, I would say would be a good idea to recruit, but if somebody's coming just to be, say, I don't know, crossing guard during elk festivals, something like that, I don't think you need to do a full criminal background check on them.
Well, this
Well-
would be the people working under you, though.
Right, right.
That's
So,
not
and
the
this is
event
not a
organizers.
full, I will tell you, the iChat, it's not a full criminal background history. iChat is only for the state of Michigan. We take their driver's license number, input into the state of Michigan system, and it's anything related to that driver's license. So if they're from, you know, out of state, if there's been something that previously was expunged, like, we're not getting all that information. We're getting probably pretty basic information from iChat. It doesn't get into depth of anything other than, another example, maybe someone got an OWI and it was dropped. It will show that. It
I'm
will
just
sh-
saying you're not gonna vet somebody if they want to help clean up debris.
Not, I mean, I don't think that we need, it's all or nothing, in my opinion. We can't pick and choose who we want to do background checks on and who we do not want to do background checks on. I don't think that's fair either.
But
I
again,
think-
these are volunteers that are going to be coming under you. I'm just thinking of my short stint as being an emergency manager, which I am glad is gone. Very glad. But that did come up because we had people, and I think it was especially in Lewiston, they had individuals coming saying they were cleaning yards. And I believe they were scammers.
Yeah,
They
and
were
that's
just looking
where
for
we,
money, which
yes.
is, we did, you know, I can see with that perfect
Well,
scenario. It wasn't people they knew. They were volunteers outside the area is what they said, and they never came. They had told somebody, oh, we're coming to the EOC, but they had never come.
Right.
So I can see where that's very protective in that
In that case, it
situation.
wouldn't do any good anyways, because if they're scammers, they wouldn't bother coming here and getting vetted, they just.
But
But
we
then
have
the
proof,
people
but we
would
have
know
proof
if
they
they're
aren't
not
ours.
a.
But now we would, yeah.
We have proof they weren't ours.
And if they had an issue with that, then they wouldn't fill it out. It would be a volunteer. They would know. They would.
And I know through the courts, you know, there's criminals that need volunteer hours, and I want to 100% support that. Because that's something that we as a county should support. But there would be certain functions, depending on what that crime was, that they may or may not be able to help with. If we're, you know, giving away cases and or, you know, pallets and pallets of water, absolutely, we can all give out water. But in my opinion, I see what you're saying, but I don't know how and if we can pick and choose who we do a background check and who we don't do a background check on. That's my biggest concern.
Well, and that's where you can pick and choose what activities or where they would be volunteering too. So
Right.
Think of it this way.
But it that way.
If you had somebody that came into the county for an event that happened and they're now going out to the public and it's whatever, 4th of July or the Elk Fest, and they're saying they're working for emergency management and they're representing the county, and we didn't do any due diligence, and they're a registered sex offender and they're helping with the kids game. That's on the county.
It'll come back to us.
Like, we don't want to be put in that position. We should be doing those checks. If we're gonna have somebody out there representing us, even as a volunteer, we should be doing at least that bare minimum check. In my opinion.
When we're doing that and they're volunteering, would they have a badge or they have something that would identify that they're volunteer?
Yeah, and that's part of the process too, you know, like, we, in this county, to my knowledge, there, you know, hasn't been any distinct badging or vests that folks wear or anything, but that's like something that we
Or
will,
lanyard.
yeah, a lanyard, that's something we can work towards, and that's part of this congressional spending project. From an EOC standpoint is when people report into the EOC for their primary designated spots, helping in the EOC, people are badged, they're credentialed. You know, those in the operations unit are gonna have orange vests, you know, so it's very distinct and visible, and And that's how our volunteers in the county should be. We're not there yet, but it's something that if they're helping with an emergency management function for volunteering, yeah, we should have them identified as Montmorency County volunteer.
And when we get that far, let's say you said orange vest or whatever, you break it down so we'll know if it's the orange vest or however you divide certain,
yeah,
I don't know what you'd say, if it's like cleanup versus helping out in a parade, you'd have it separated. one way or
Yeah,
another.
yeah. So like general volunteers might just have yellow vests and it may just say volunteer. If we have people helping under the safety division, they're probably all gonna have red vests. And so, but again, it comes with a cost. But it's part of the structure of ICS from FEMA. And most certainly it's part of my plan to get to that point. So when we have an emergency and there are folks out handling the situation, that they are identifiable. Obviously, we know policemen are identifiable because they're in uniform. EMS typically are in uniform. And so those assisting emergency management should be identifiable with a vest or something. So, and part of that volunteer process too is, you know, we as a county do not have a badge scanning type thing for the, I don't think for human resources to be able to scan badges, but there's systems out there that we can get that we can have at the volunteer registration check-in during a disaster where we're making people badges on the spot for our volunteers. It's also helpful for employees getting badges. The news does a great job giving us these. But if the county had their own badging system too, it's helpful for emergencies. Because if they don't have, you know, a badge, a volunteer badge, then no go. They don't get to go on site to help or whatnot, so.
Yeah, because we had volunteers of all sorts, and I think the fire department, at least I'm thinking of the one fire department must have their own system. Because I know some were, you know, they would say this volunteer, they were, they had them figured right out who was helping like in a shelter and stuff, so. Any further discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. And without objection, that ends our agenda. So without objection, it is 10:16 and we are adjourned.
That's one question.
Oh.
Why is the public not able to comment on Zoom?
Because we don't have it in our policy.
Reason why not?
We didn't put it in.
The reason they didn't put the policy?
Yeah, it's something that can be discussed. Some do, some don't.
Get asked a lot, why are we unable to comment on Zoom?
Because it's not in our policy. That's the answer. So without objection, we are adjourned 10:16.
10:15?
16.
16, okay.